MIT researchers just proved something uncomfortable. People using AI to write essays got significantly dumber over time. That's not speculation, it's data from one of the most widely cited studies on AI and cognition published this year. And it's raising a question that's keeping researchers up at night. If the tools we are building to help us think are actually making us worse at thinking, what does that mean for the future of human intelligence? Now, this isn't a new concern. We've been worried about technology making us dumber since the printing press. Socrates was convinced written words would destroy memory, but AI feels different. It's not just a tool, it's a tool that thinks, that suggests, that does the heavy lifting of reasoning itself. And here's what's fascinating. Some people think this is a disaster. Others think it's liberation. The source material points to research from MIT's Natalia Kuzmina, showing that students with access to generative AI for essays performed worse over time than those using Google or working without any aid at all. That's the paradox at the heart of this. We built AI to amplify human capability, and yet the evidence suggests that by outsourcing our thinking to these systems, we might be outsourcing our ability to think at all. So what's actually happening inside our brains when we hand over the work to an AI? And more importantly, can we use these tools without losing ourselves? We are not the first generation to worry about this. Every major technology has sparked the same panic and the same promise. When the calculator arrived, math teachers were convinced our kids would lose the ability to multiply. When GPS became standard, we thought our navigation brains would atrophy. When Google put the world's information at our fingertips, pessimists predicted the death of memory. And here's the thing, they weren't entirely wrong. Our brains genuinely did change, but they didn't get dumber, they got different. A neuroscientist would call it neuroplasticity. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on what you use it for. When you stop doing mental math daily, you lose some speed with arithmetic. When you stop remembering addresses, that skill weakens. But here's what people miss. You freed up that cognitive real estate for something else. The musician doesn't remember phone numbers as well as the accountant, but they can hear a chord played once and recreate it perfectly. So the real question isn't whether AI will change how our brains work. It will. The question is, what are we trading away and what are we gaining? Are we outsourcing thinking the way we outsource navigation, using that freed-up brain power for deeper, more creative work? Or are we creating a new kind of dependency where we can't think without the AI doing the heavy lifting first? That distinction turns out to matter a lot. Here's what the neuroscience actually shows. Heavy AI use correlates with weaker critical thinking, reduced memory capacity, and lower overall cognitive engagement. It's not permanent brain damage, it's more like cognitive atrophy from disuse. Think of it like this. If you wear a leg brace for weeks, your leg muscles weaken, not because the brace damaged them, but because you weren't using them. The moment you start walking normally again, they start rebuilding. Your brain works the same way. When you ask an AI to write your essay instead of struggling through it yourself, three things happen. First, you skip the struggle that builds critical thinking muscles, the part where you have to organize messy ideas, make hard choices about what matters, and defend your position. Second, you're not encoding the information into memory through the effort of writing. Third, you're normalizing the habit of letting someone else do your thinking. And habits are powerful. Repeat the pattern enough times, and it becomes your default mode. Here's what makes this different from Google. Google gives you information and you still have to synthesize it. You have to read multiple sources, compare them, and form your own judgment. With AI, the synthesis is done for you. The hard part is already finished. You're just taking a pre-baked answer, and that's where the cognitive atrophy kicks in. The research shows this pattern holds across different ages and skill levels. Let me show you exactly what the research reveals. Natalia Kuzmina's team at MIT gave 3 groups of students an essay assignment. Group 1 had access to generative AI. Group 2 could use Google. Group 3 had to work without any digital aid. Then they tested everyone again a few weeks later on a similar assignment without the tools. This is the crucial part. The students who'd used AI performed significantly worse than the Google group and the no-aid group. Their essays were shorter, less detailed, and showed weaker reasoning. It wasn't that they'd forgotten the material. It's that their ability to structure an argument and defend a position had actually degraded. This isn't just about essays, either. Studies are showing the same pattern with coding. Programmers who rely on AI autocomplete to write their code develop weaker debugging skills and struggle more when the AI isn't available. Musicians using AI composition tools get less creative over time. Even researchers using AI literature reviews report lower engagement with the actual papers. The pattern is consistent. When the tool does the cognitively demanding work, the human's capability in that area withers. Here's the thing that worries experts most. Unlike a calculator, you can't tell if you're getting worse. The AI gives you plausible-looking output. It feels right, so you don't get feedback that you're atrophying. That's dangerous. But hold on, there's a completely different way to look at this. Some researchers and technologists argue that the whole dumbing down narrative is backwards. They point out that the real value of AI isn't the output it generates, it's the cognitive freedom it creates. Think about it this way. Before calculators, engineers spent half their time doing arithmetic. They weren't getting smarter at engineering. They were just grinding through multiplication tables. The calculator freed them to focus on actual problem solving. The same logic applies to AI and writing. Maybe the real skill that matters isn't the ability to write an essay about Shakespeare. It's the ability to critique what the AI writes. It's asking better questions. It's knowing what to throw out and what to keep. Some argue that we're entering an era where what's scarce isn't knowledge or even basic problem solving. It's imagination guided by understanding. The ability to frame new questions, to recognize which problems are worth solving, to think beyond what machines can simulate. Here's the kicker. You can't do that if you're still grinding through the foundational work. By handing off the essay writing to an AI, you're freed up to ask, what questions should we even be asking about this text? That's higher-order thinking. So which narrative is true? Does AI make us dumber or set us free? The answer, frustratingly, is both. And here's why that matters. AI isn't a neutral tool. It's not like a hammer where the outcome depends entirely on whether you're building or destroying. It's more like social media. The same platform can amplify human connection or enable mass loneliness. It depends on how you use it. Same with AI. If you use it as a shortcut, hit generate essay and submit whatever it spits out, you will get dumber. Your critical thinking muscles will atrophy. Your memory will weaken. You'll become cognitively dependent on the machine. But if you use it as a thinking partner, generate an essay, then ruthlessly critique it, argue with it, rebuild it with your own voice and your own thinking, you might actually get smarter. You're not outsourcing your thinking. You're outsourcing the busy work so you can do higher-order work. Here's what worries experts most about large-scale AI adoption. We might accidentally create a two-tier society. One group uses AI to amplify their thinking. They get smarter, more creative, more competitive. Another group uses it as a crutch. They atrophy and fall further behind. The technology itself isn't dumbing us down. The choices we make about how to use it are. And right now, the incentives are all pushing toward the shortcut version. So here's what you actually need to do to use AI without dumbing yourself down. First, treat it as a starting point, not an end point. Get the AI to generate something, a draft, an outline, code, whatever. Then put it away for a bit. Come back to it with fresh eyes and ask hard questions. Does this actually make sense? Have I understood what's happening here? Would I defend this position in front of someone who disagreed? The friction you feel, that discomfort, is your brain-building strength. Second, use AI to understand, not to outsource. If you're reading an AI summary of a paper, don't stop there. Go read the actual paper. Argue with the AI's interpretation. See where it oversimplified or got it wrong. That disagreement is where learning happens. Third, build in deliberate cognitive challenges. Write without AI sometimes. Code without autocomplete occasionally. Do the math by hand now and then. Your brain needs workouts just like your body does. Here's the real hack. Use AI to remove busy work, but keep the cognitive load on the parts that matter. Let it handle formatting and basic structure. But you do the thinking, you do the analysis, you do the creation. The moments where you struggle, that's where you're getting smarter. And that's absolutely non-negotiable if you want to stay sharp. Here's what this means for you. AI isn't a dumbing down agent by itself. It's a mirror of our intentions. Use it as a shortcut and it makes you dumber. Use it as a tool to amplify your thinking and it makes you smarter. The technology isn't the limitation. Our wisdom is. The research is clear on one thing. The decline in critical thinking, memory, and cognitive engagement among heavy AI users isn't inevitable. It's a choice. You're choosing to outsource the work, and your brain's responding by atrophying those skills. But you can choose differently. The students in Kazmina's study who got worse could have read the AI's essay critically. They didn't. You can. Here's what to watch for. Look at the people around you thriving with AI. I guarantee they're using it to remove friction, not thinking. They're letting the tool handle the grunt work so they can do the real creative thinking. And they're noticing when the AI gets it wrong. That's where the learning is. The future isn't about being smarter than AI. You won't be. The future's about being smarter with AI than you can be without it. That requires intentionality. It requires friction. It requires you to fight the temptation to just accept the AI's answer and move on. The question isn't whether AI will make the human race dumber. The question is whether you'll be one of the people it makes smarter. That's your call.